Well, if you remember last month, so December 2023, during the Game Awards in early December, Sega came out and basically announced that they are reviving 5 classic titles, and they were kind of vague on if this means, these series are going to be revived or if it's just the main titles from each series. But regardless, last month they had announced that they were reviving Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and Shinobi. So 5 very big classic Sega titles. And also, if you remember, during this announcement, they basically said that more revivals are in the works, and they kind of just left it at that, leaving fans scratching their heads, wondering, of course, what those titles will be. Well, yesterday and today, there has been a sort of update in the form of a rumor, of course, so it's not confirmed, unfortunately, but the rumor suggests that approximately 10 Sega classic titles were approved for production for basically revival of these titles, and they were approved all the way back in 2020 or 2021, so about 2, 3, 4 years ago. So if 10 classic Sega titles were approved back, 2, 3 years ago, and they've already announced 5, that would suggest that about 5 more are being worked on and have yet to be announced. Well, part of this rumor suggests 3 of those 5 unconfirmed titles, and it looks like all 3 of these are from the 90s, which I think a lot would consider to be Sega's golden years. Now, I have never heard of these 3 titles, but I'm sure some of you have, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that did play them since they are interested in reviving them, and well, according to this rumor, they are reviving them. So these 3 games are Panzer Dragoon, Neon Genesis Evangelion, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of having a hard time pronouncing some of these, and Sakura Taisen. And for this last one, Sakura Taisen, it looks like it was mostly a Japanese release, but basically that translates to Sakura Wars. So yeah, all 3 of these games are 90s games. I looked them up, they seem pretty cool. Panzer Dragoon kind of looks like a linear shooter type game. Sakura Taisen or Sakura Wars is basically an RPG slash like a narrative type game. It's kind of just a lot of people talking. And then Neon Genesis. I do not know what to make of Neon Genesis. Wikipedia lists it as an adventure series. I've looked up videos on it now and I cannot pinpoint exactly what kind of game it really is. But these were kind of beyond my time. I never had a Genesis or really any Sega consoles. But again, there must be a lot of popularity behind these 3 titles, even though I haven't heard of them, because according to the rumor, they are reviving them. It does kind of look like for a lot of these Sega games, a lot of them were Japanese-only releases. So maybe they are planning on making a lot of these games that were only available in Japan now available in the US. Obviously, with digital releases being the norm now, it's a lot easier to do stuff like that. And if there's a big market for it in Japan, there probably will be at least a decent market for it in the US and beyond. And of course, you can make a lot of these games available on a lot of different consoles. I saw one person suggest that a lot of these games are even going to be available on the Xbox Series consoles. Personally, I could see these games being available on all 3 of the main consoles, the Xbox as well as PlayStation and Switch. But yeah, I'm excited to see a lot of these games that are going to be revived by Sega. And of course, more, it looks like, will be announced, if the rumor is true, as they are apparently reviving 10 different titles. So we would have 2 more to be revealed at hopefully a later date. I'm sure there are a lot of Sega classics they could revive. I didn't know this, but just looking online, it looks like Sega goes all the way back to 1983. That is when they first started making games. I didn't know they went back that far. But if I do understand it correctly, I believe 90s, just the 1990s in general, was the peak decade for Sega in terms of overall reception to most of their games. And as it looks, Sega is definitely very aware of that as they are bringing a lot of their 90s games to the current generation. I've seen Sega definitely in the gaming news a lot more recently in the past few months. I think they're definitely out there making some great moves. As time goes on, we will see what happens with these rumors.